Welcome back to the channel. Today, of course, as always, we're going to be talking about Wrexham Football Club. We're back with the match reviews today. We're going to be reviewing our 3-1 defeat away at Birmingham City last night at St Andrews. Some might say this was our biggest game of the season yet. Some might say this might have been the biggest League One game we've seen so far this season. We're going to be talking everything about what went right for Wrexham, what went wrong, looking at our opponents, Birmingham City, and how they could break a lot of records this season. And I'm not talking about financial wise, and we're just going to be giving an overall view of the game. And you know, this is a game that we were going into this, there was a lot of media coverage weeks in advance for Wrexham versus Birmingham City, and you know, we saw the outlets there yesterday, we saw all the celebrities there, and it was a big occasion, of course, for both teams having really high profile owners. And you know, there was a lot of expectation going into this game, a lot of expectation for it to be high quality, to see goals, see drama. And of course, being a Wrexham fan, I can't really be too happy on the performance and obviously the end result, and Birmingham City, of course, coming away with all 3 points. However, we did see what a lot of people were hoping to see. We saw 4 goals, we saw drama, we saw fights on the pitch, we had a red card, we had the Birmingham City fans getting wound up by James McElhenney. Everything happened in yesterday's game. Before we get going in today's video, if you would like to see more Wrexham AFC content on YouTube, make sure to get down there and click the red subscribe button. We're on the road to 26,000 subscribers, of course. It'll be on screen there or wherever it will be. Thank you to everyone who has supported the channel further by buying me a coffee by clicking the first link in the description down below. It's massively appreciated. There is some upgrades coming to this setup very soon, so I cannot thank you enough. All the money that you donate to the channel is just pushed straight back into it. So if you would like to support further, it'll be the first link in the description down below. And let's see if we can hit 500 likes on today's match review. So we're going to be talking about Wrexham first and then talking on our opponents, Birmingham City. Of course, going into this game, yes, we were top of the league. We've had a great start to the season, but coming into this game away at Birmingham City, we're playing at such a big stadium in St Andrews, a historical stadium, an atmosphere that is known to be good on a big occasion. We were going into this game not really expecting a win or even a draw. I think a win or a draw at the end of the day would have been a really good result for Wrexham. We'd have happily taken a draw before kickoff, but of course that wasn't the case. And you know, you kind of expect these expectations from us going into this game. We look at Birmingham City, it's not hard to see. They've had a ridiculous transfer window. They spent 35 million, 35 times what Wrexham have spent in this League One transfer window. And you look at their squad, they've got depth and quality in every single position of the pitch. They have got a super squad for League One. And of course, like I said, we went into this top of the league, but when you're playing against a team like Birmingham City, a manager, a squad, a fan base, you know, a stadium, an atmosphere, just the club size in general, you're travelling there on a Monday night, on a night match, it's going to be a massive ask to go out there and get a result. And you know, we showed some promising signs in the game, but overall, am I really disappointed and you know, disheartened that we didn't come away with 3 points or even a point? Not really, because we knew the test that we were facing in Birmingham City. We've never seen anything like this before in League One. A team spending 35 million, outspending the likes of Man City, etc. You know, they've had a transfer window, of course. You're looking at it from a Birmingham fan point of view. It's a transfer window that is going to set them up for the next 2 or 3 seasons. But if we're looking at the present, they've made these signings in League One, and we're coming up against a team that have depth and quality in every single area of the pitch, and a team that probably could be pushing for top half in the Championship. But to reiterate, of course, I'm disappointed that we didn't come away with a point or at least 3. But if we're looking at the performance on Wrexham now, I think in the first 20 minutes we looked really good in the ball. There were a couple of times where we were put under immense pressure by Birmingham City. Of course, straight from the off, we knew they were going to come out all guns blazing and wanting to put in a 5-star performance, and they definitely put the pressure on us in the first 20 minutes. They had a couple of shots on goal, but I thought, you know, we looked really good. I thought that first 20 minutes there were some really promising signs. Of course, Jack Marriott getting that goal from that scrappy set piece. And yeah, I thought we looked really sharp and we had some neat sequences of play, like I said, under pressure, you know, sort of in our own half. We were getting the ball out to the wing backs, Ryan Barnett, James McElhenney, very often. Although we probably didn't create the amount of chances we'd have hoped to, we saw some promising signs in the early 20 minutes that we could possibly go out there and sort of dictate the play for at least the half. Yeah, and then of course we saw Jay Stansfield's goal straight afterwards. It was a save by Arthur Okonkwo. Stansfield, he's there. You know, they've spent 17-18 million pound on Stansfield. You expect him to be a League One quality striker, and you know, his natural instincts, he was there on the follow-up, and after that goal you could sort of sense the tide was turning a bit. You've got 26,000 Birmingham fans all chanting inside the ground. You've got a really strong press happening from Birmingham City, of course, straight after the goal. You saw Alfie May, Jay Stansfield, Hansen, and all these players, you know, even the two flat midfielders, Paik and Iwata, they were onto us in an instant. We were put under pressure, of course, from the minute the referee's whistle blew, but we saw some really promising signs. We just did not see that in the second half, and it wasn't almost as if it happened soon after the goal that Birmingham scored in the second half. It was just straight away. They came out, they dictated the play. We just looked very vulnerable out of possession, and you know, we held our shape quite well for times. Were the goals avoidable? I think the third one, you can't really look at that and think that's savable. It was a brilliant strike from the former Celtic midfielder. The header, could the marking have been better? Possibly. It's a brilliant ball, don't get me wrong, from Cochrane on that left hand side. The first one, yes, it could have been avoidable. But yeah, like I said, if we're going back to the first half when Birmingham scored, of course, Stansfield, you're looking at the atmosphere, you're looking at, you know, the quality of players there. They're going to know how to come back in a situation like this, and they're going to know how to sting a team as soon after they've stung them already, and that's what Birmingham City set out to do. But you know, we saw the resilient defending from Wrexham, the willingness to continue our style of play after that equaliser, which we did not see at all in the second half. The press was on massively, like I said, after the first goal, but you saw calmness on the ball from Tom O'Connor. People were saying Dobson was a bit erratic in that game, but I thought he was our block again in that midfield, winning the battles. You know, I thought his passing was good, and just overall, I think we did really well to just calm everything down after the equaliser from Birmingham. Yeah, and of course, if we're going on to the second half now, I thought we weren't great. Again, you can't really criticise the players too much when this is almost like an FA Cup game. You see the amount of money Birmingham City have spent. They are just the anomaly in this division, and I'm not just speaking about money-wise, club stature-wise. You know, they're a massive club for League One, and like I said, we were stretched in the midfield. We saw the midfield two of Paik and Iwata in that midfield. They were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant, and you know, I tried to be as neutral as I can on this channel and non-biased, but you know, there are times where you just have to take your hats off and say these two are just a class above any other midfielder in this league, especially Iwata. You know, he's fresh off a season at Celtic. It's a brilliant signing. You know what you're going to get when you sign a player that's gained experience in the SPFL. He's played in Japan, I think. I could be wrong there, but you know, he's come to Birmingham. He's had some really solid games, and he capped it off with a really good performance. A great goal from him. Just great play in, you know, tight spaces, getting that ball forward, driving forward in the midfield, finding that pass out wide or whether it be down the middle. And I think we were also struggling in the second half to adapt to how Birmingham City were playing. I was saying this, you know, during the game, there were times where Birmingham were really sort of just confusing us a bit. You'd see Alfie May, Jay Stansfield sort of wandering out wide and, you know, creating that space and sort of just confusing us a bit when it came to man marking. You know, they were really intelligent out of possession, making those runs, and they were really effective as well going forward with the ball and whenever they did have the ball. And I think as well, something else that they were very good at was the transition of play. Whether it be us, you know, putting a high press on them, they would just do like a 4-5 pass transition and somehow break out of the midfield, find that ball and hit us sort of on the counter-attack, if you'd like to say that. But overall, I mean, you could just see the class that was in that Birmingham City team yesterday. And, you know, I don't agree with the amount of money they've spent. Okay, yes, it's, you know, for a future project for 2-3 years to come, but it's a lot of money spent, and you are expecting these things from Birmingham City. You're expecting them to 100+ points, go unbeaten at home. You're expecting all these things. It's almost sort of a bit like us in the National League. You know, when we were signing these League 2, League 1 players, it probably feels how fans feel now with Birmingham City in League 1. So we can now finally understand what it was probably like for opposition fans when we were in the National League and we first had the takeover. Again, we shouldn't really have too many complaints. I can't sit here and start slating in on the players for not performing and not turning up, because yes, I'm going to say there were some bad performances in there, but you're looking at this game, it's probably going to be our toughest away game of the season, if not one of our toughest of the season. We're competing against a squad that's probably championship quality that could push for top half. The occasion was massive. You've got celebrity owners there, and it's not almost like we completely crumbled. I've seen a lot of Birmingham fans saying we were awful. Yes, you've probably caught us on an off day, but I thought individually there were a couple of good performances out there, and it's not like we went out and got battered 5 or 6-0. I don't think it was a game where we got totally dominated. Possession-wise, you can look at it stats-wise, yes. Second half, I think we definitely did get dominated, but first half, I think we kept our own for 20-30 minutes. But like I said, these probably aren't backing up my points very well. Birmingham City, they deserved the win. We're not going to come here and hide and say Wrexham deserved it, we were robbed, etc. Birmingham deserved the win. They took their chances well. They looked good going forward, in possession, in midfield. Just overall, I think it was a good performance from Birmingham, and they turned up when it mattered most. Yeah, and speaking on individual performances from Wrexham, I think there's only two real names that we can speak on if we're looking at, the standout players for us. And again, we've seen this for most games this season. The two standout players for me were Owen O'Connell and George Dobson. O'Connell, of course, continuing his impressive start to the season. He was good in the air, composed on the ball, good passer. I think he just had a really solid game, the best defender out of that flat back three. And George Dobson, of course, in midfield as well, I thought was good. Now, a lot of people, of course, like I said previously, saying he was quite erratic, couple of stray passes. We did see that, yes, but I think it could have been a lot worse if we didn't see George Dobson in that midfield. I thought he broke up some of the play really well. Of course, he was playing in those tight spaces, those tight pockets, and I thought he did have a solid game. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't a performance where I thought, oh my god, it's a 9, 10 out of 10. It was probably a 7 out of 10 at best. But I think if you're looking at the press from their midfield, from Iwata, from Paik, from the centre attacking midfielder, the Icelandic one, there were times where they were just hounding us, putting an immense amount of pressure. And I thought George Dobson, just looked like he was really, really composed, and he did play with a bit of composure, when those instances were happening in the game. But apart from that, I don't think anyone really stood out in terms of going out there and putting a really solid performance in. Of course, we don't really expect to see 10 out of 10s all across the pitch in a game like this. And looking on our opponents now, Birmingham City, of course, I'm just going to say it now, I think Birmingham will go down in many years to come as being one of the best teams we've seen in League One. Before a ball was even kicked, you look at their squad and you think that's probably one of the best squads the team's had in League One for probably the whole history of League One. And, like I said, they're probably expected to go on and reach 100 plus points, unbeaten at home. And, they probably should lose a maximum 5 or 6 games this season. When you look at the amount of money spent, they've got the manager, they've got the fan base. They're going to be getting 26, 27,000 through the gate every week at St Andrews. Everything is set up for Birmingham to go out there and absolutely storm this league. And I think they definitely will do that. This is probably the best midfield I've ever seen someone play against Wrexham. You've got Iwata, you've got Paik. Two really good midfielders, two midfielders who are going to be key assets for Birmingham City, of course, as they look to get promoted this season. And on the whole, in general, you're looking at Birmingham's squad, and it is just ridiculous still to see the squad that they've got and the backing that they do have. And of course, they've still got a distinct style of play as well, bringing Chris Davis in and his former assistant, I think, at Tottenham and Celtic. So it's no surprise really that they are doing well, and they've had an immediate good start to life in League One. They've implemented everything down early on in pre-season. They've had a good start to the season. They've shown some really promising signs, and you see that sometimes with teams where they bring loads of players in, they might have a project going at the club, and it might take a while for the players to gel. But in this instance, you're looking at the quality and abundance that Birmingham do have in their squad. It's almost hard to fail. You've got a good leader in Chris Davis, a manager who I think could go on to do big things at Birmingham City, whether he stays at Birmingham or gets that big move in the future. He's a manager that's going to want to have that distinct style of play, that style of play that he's going to be known for in Birmingham. And like I said, you're looking at their squad even further. Their substitute striker Lyndon Dykes nearly cost as much as we paid for all of our summer signings in this transfer window. So if that doesn't put it into perspective, then I do not know what does. And I think a word on the atmosphere now. Of course, you might have seen my stadium rankings on my EFL channel. St Andrews was a ground I was really looking forward to visiting. Of course, we got the pleasure of visiting St Andrews yesterday. The atmosphere was brilliant. From both sets of fans, I thought, Wrexham without the drum in the away end, of course, you don't need a drum to make atmosphere, but I thought we were in fine voice. You could say the same about Birmingham fans, of course. Apart from the fan that did spit on one of the Wrexham supporters, I thought Birmingham were good fans. They made plenty of noise. Of course, the continuous back and forth between the fans, but overall there was good noise inside St Andrews, and I think that really just added to the game. And that's what makes these big games, is the atmosphere inside the ground, the back and forth singing between both fans. And I'm sure it did come out well to the fans that did watch on the telly at home on Sky Sports. You of course had the big high profile owners there. Everything just made this day big, and it did feel like the Champions League final as well before, with all the fireworks and displays going on inside the ground, the lights display as well. So I'm not sure it was needed, and I'm sure I've seen a lot of fans already say that this is where football's completely gone, the love of the game is gone. But I mean, probably wasn't needed, the fireworks and the light display, but you know, overall I think it was a massive game. And did it possibly get overhyped by the media? Was there too much coverage on this game? You know, the average fan in League One will say yes, and I can understand, because, you know, you've got Rob McElhenney, Tom Brady, all these people coming out to watch. You'll have these massive outlets, you know, putting loads of, you know, news, updates, coverage on this game. And did that increase the amount of pressure that was on us to go out there and get a result? Quite possibly. If we're looking at player rankings now, I thought, you know, there were a couple of performances, like I said, Okonkwo 6, Barnett 6, Cleworth 6, O'Connell 7, O'Connor 5, McLean 6, Dobson 7, Rathbone 5, Lee 6, Palmer 5, Marriott 6. So I think they're definitely understandable ratings. Of course, the standout players being Dobson and O'Connell. And if we're looking at our substitutes, I thought Paul Mullin, when he came on, was a bit of a handful. Mullin's still getting back into the routine in League One, and of course we saw him out in pre-season with a back injury, still getting back into the flow of things. We haven't seen him start in League One yet, and I think he will be starting in the near future, and we would like to see him start a game. We saw him in that EFL Trophy game against Salford, but we would like to see him in a competitive game where the stakes are high. And of course, like I said, he came on, I think he got fouled 3 times, he was a bit of a handful, nearly bitter player, but it was quite funny seeing all the brawls that were happening in the middle of the pitch, that late tackle, the red card. You know, everything just added to this game, and everything made it just a big game and a good one, I think, for the neutrals watching at home. Overall, I am disappointed we didn't come out with a result. We had the limbs though, we had the good celebrations after Marriott's goal. The atmosphere was good, the away end was good, and I think the right way to sign off this video is by saying how far Wrexham Football Club have come in a very short amount of time. You might remember the vlog on the channel, Solihull Moors away, New Year's Day of 2023, that's like last calendar year. We were in that shed of an away end where there were about 4 rows, the roof was like this much above you, and to think now that we're playing Birmingham City, we've got the light show, we've got the Sky Sports Monday night coverage, does just show, you know, like I said, how far we have come in a very short amount of time. And I think we should just be soaking up, you know, every single away game that we've got and every single game that we've got in League One, because, you know, cast your minds back, it's only a matter of, you know, 1 calendar year ago we were competing in the National League. If you cast your minds back as well, before lockdown, where this club had no vision, this club had, you know, no trajectory of wanting to achieve that Football League status, and we had nothing, you know, sort of backing us to go out and get that promotion. We had the odd season here and there where we brought in the good manager, but, you know, we were seeing times where managers would happily go to a team higher up. Sam Rickett's going to Shrewsbury, Dean Keats going to Walsall. You think now, you know, you wouldn't even batter an eyelid at Parky going to one of those teams or going up to a higher league team. So we've got a real thing going at Wrexham. We've got a real euphoria between the fans, the club, and, you know, we all understand the visions of the club, the owners. What a ride it's been. And it seems like yesterday, you know, I was watching one of my first ever away days away at Tamworth in 2013. I'll see if I've got a picture of it there, but, you know, it's a special club. It is a really special club, and we'll savour all of these days that we have in League One, all of the away days, all of the home games. And yeah, it's a special time to be a Wrexham fan. We're still top of the league. Let's see if we can continue this good run of form. And yeah, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to subscribe, drop a like, let me know your thoughts on yesterday's game. And yeah, I'll see you in another video. Bring on Saturday, Crawley Town at home. A perfect opportunity to go out, bounce back from this defeat and pick up all 3 points and hopefully stay top of the table. Until then, take care guys, up the town.